Chapter 52, Silo 18. In the aftermath of a devastating explosion, Mark, a mechanic from Silo 18, finds himself fleeing down a great stairway, surrounded by chaos and carnage. The ringing in his ears drowns out the screams of the wounded and the shouts of his pursuers. He clings to a rifle, wounded and desperate, as he navigates the blood-slicked steps. Mark's mind is consumed with the explosion that robbed him of his hearing and his friends. His boss, Knox, and other comrades have been lost, leaving him alone and terrified. With every step, all he can think about is finding his wife and reaching the safety of the down deep. Gunshots echo from above, bullets zing through the air, and Mark takes cover, trying to stay out of sight. He encounters 3 members of Supply, one of them wounded and being helped along. Unable to hear his own voice, Mark urges them to keep moving, his own blood mingling with the blood he slips in. The relentless pursuit continues, and Mark fires back sporadically to slow down their assailants. As he descends to level 42, Mark desperately searches for his wife, Shirley. He shouts her name, hoping for a glimpse of her through the cracked doorway. Fingers curl around the edge of the steel jamb, but Mark's deafening shouts go unheard. Someone points downward, indicating Shirley's possible whereabouts. Realizing that going down is his only option, Mark continues his descent. He encounters a gravely wounded man, clutching a chair leg protruding from his stomach. In a solemn moment, the woman from Supply hands a bomb to the injured man, who accepts it with trembling hands. Mark is pulled away by the others. He watches helplessly as the wounded man, bomb in hand, comes face to face with the oncoming enemy. The assailants close in, and Mark and his companions flee further down the stairs. The deafening sounds of gunfire fill the air. A young boy appears at the swinging door, but the hands of adults pull him back moments before a gigantic blast shakes the stairwell. Mark is dazed and disoriented, but survives the explosion that propels them into the spiraling darkness of the silo. Chapter 53, Silo 18. Unable to find Shirley initially, Mark is relieved when she suddenly emerges from the crowd. Mark's hearing has slightly improved, allowing him to overhear conversations about the damage caused by the previous explosion. They embrace, but Shirley's concern quickly shifts to his wounded arm. Mark reassures her, but she insists on inspecting the wound. Amidst the commotion, it becomes clear that there are disagreements about whether mechanicals injured should receive treatment further below, causing further tension between the members of Mechanical and Supply. As they prepare to move on, Mark and Shirley encounter a jam of people at the security station leading into Mechanical. Steel plates have been welded across the entrance, and the terrified crowd fights to get through the tiny gap beneath the turnstile. The situation intensifies as shots ring out, and people scramble for safety. Mark and Shirley retreat to the stairs as chaos erupts. Mark decides to take action and runs back up the stairs, aiming to defend their position against the shooters above. He manages to take down 2 of them but is soon outmatched. Injured and unable to retrieve his rifle, Mark stumbles back down the stairs, his legs giving way. Despite his injuries, he manages to reach the bottom floor where Shirley is already half inside the makeshift entrance. As they lie on the floor, feeling oddly at peace, Mark urges her to go through the opening and screams his love for her. Shirley is pulled into the darkness by someone on the other side, leaving Mark behind. The person in yellow who assisted Shirley turns and meets a violent end. The chapter concludes with Mark's vision fading as his life comes to a sudden and tragic conclusion. Chapter 54, Silo 18. 3 weeks later, Walker, confined to his cot, listens to the sounds of violence echoing through the silo. The gunshots and shouts emanate from the entrance to Mechanical, leaving him on edge with his blankets drawn over his head. He desperately pleads for the chaos to end. Jenkins, the young successor to Mechanical after Knox's death, storms into Walker's workshop, demanding that the radio be fixed. Jenkins explains the importance of getting the radio operational, emphasizing that if they can't listen in, defending their silo becomes increasingly difficult. Walker shows Jenkins the modifications he made to the radio, suggesting that the silence may be intentional, and that someone is purposely excluding their radio. Jenkins, seized by worry and frustration, has little patience for Walker's tinkering. He demands to be informed when the radio is fixed, making it clear that this task takes precedence over everything else. Left alone in his workshop, Walker contemplates the cascade of events that his actions have set in motion. He debates the worthiness of it all, feeling the weight of regret and the burden of responsibility for the violence and suffering around him. In a moment of vulnerability, Walker briefly considers cutting his own wrists and joining his lost loved ones in death. As temptation beckons him, Walker's resolve strengthens. He cannot escape the burning desire to tinker, the restless hands that have worked diligently all his life. With a renewed determination, he resumes his efforts to fix the radio. Chapter 55, Silo 17. Juliet, perched on a landing in Silo 17, works to repair a loose wire. As she handles the wire, it pricks her finger and she curses, almost dropping the other end. After securing the wires to the railing, she wants to check if the plumbing is working properly and calls down to Solo, who is positioned further down the stairwell. Solo responds with cautious optimism, sensing a slight vibration in the pipe. Curiosity gets the better of Juliet, and she decides to investigate the situation herself. Arriving at the landing of 136, the last dry landing before the flood, Juliet leans on the railing, catching her breath. Solo, standing on the only dry step they have managed to expose through their weeks of effort, looks up at her hopefully. However, upon contemplating the magnitude of the task ahead, Juliet becomes nauseous. The prospect of waiting 2 years to fully clear the silo of floodwaters seems unbearable. The corrosion that would occur once the submerged machines are exposed to oxygen further dampens her spirits. Solo, unaware of her internal struggles, exclaims, 2 years is nothing. Juliet finds solace in Solo's unwavering enthusiasm, but knows they cannot afford to wait so long. The intense isolation and mounting challenges of their environment have already begun to take a toll on their mental states. Determined to explore alternatives, Juliet decides to salvage the backup generator instead. She knows they'll need to scrounge for tools and supplies, but the newfound sense of purpose gives her hope. As Solo cheerfully envisions upcoming projects, Juliet realizes she needs some time alone in the server room and plans to make a call. Though Solo protests, criticizing her for spending too much time on the communication device, Juliet ignores his complaints. She embarks on the arduous climb back up Silo 17, acknowledging the truth in Solo's words. The calls are her lifeline, a way to feel connected to a world larger than their desolate silo. Chapter 56, Silo 18. In the midst of Lucas reading about the devastating effects of the Civil War, the lights in the server room suddenly change from steady white to a pulsating red. Lucas carefully places a silver thread in the book he was reading and closes it, concealing it amongst the set of other books. He glances at the computer screen, where live views of the servers reveal a figure in gray coveralls making their way towards him. Lucas recognizes the figure as Bernard, a short man with a mustache and glasses who often brings him lunch. Excitedly, Lucas hurries to open the hatchway for Bernard, hoping for a meal. Bernard arrives with a tray filled with succulent pork ribs, explaining that there was a disturbance in the bazaar and he didn't want the meat to go to waste. Lucas is grateful for the unexpected feast. As they enjoy their meal, Lucas and Bernard discuss the current situation in the silo. Bernard reveals that Sims, the head of IT security, believes the threat from the resistance is not yet over, so Lucas might have to continue staying in the server room for a few more days. However, their conversation is abruptly interrupted by a buzzing noise coming from one of the servers. Bernard reacts angrily, frustrated by the constant ringing. He decides to modify the server, instructing Lucas to add a simple LED array to indicate the importance of incoming calls. Lucas agrees and begins eating again, trying to appear calm despite the interruption. Bernard eventually leaves, mentioning that he spoke with Lucas's mother and is considering allowing her into the server room to see him. Lucas is hopeful but questions the need for such precautions, believing in the loyalty of the techs. Bernard reminds Lucas to never answer the server until he has cleared it with the other IT heads. Once alone, Lucas secretly removes a pair of headphones from his pouch and connects them to the server labeled 17. He waits anxiously until Juliet's voice finally comes through. "How's everything going over there?" Chapter 57, Silo 18. In the depths of Silo 18, Walker is hard at work trying to fix the radio. He passionately explains his theory to Scotty, his bright understudy, about the ripples in the air that the radio captures. Despite their efforts, they struggle to catch any clear transmissions. Walker suspects that the mysterious circuit board labeled 18 might be the problem. While Scotty suggests bypassing the defective board, Walker hesitates, afraid of causing more damage. Their conversation is interrupted by Shirley, who bursts into the workshop with a covered tray of food. She scolds Walker for not eating and accuses him of giving his rations away to others. Shirley demands that Walker eats while she watches, concerned about his declining health. Reluctantly, Walker takes a few bites, feeling a knot in his stomach that refuses to ease. As Shirley questions the source of a strange noise in the workshop, Walker adjusts the volume on the radio, attempting to drown out the sound. Gradually, Shirley becomes involved in Walker's tinkering. While they work together, Shirley updates Walker on the deteriorating situation outside. She shares rumors about the power in IT being maxed out. Walker suggests that tampering with the silo's power would only cause more harm. As Shirley adjusts the newly installed potentiometer on the radio, the static begins to modulate. The voices become clearer, confirming that their modifications are successful. Overwhelmed with joy, Shirley believes they have fixed the radio. However, Walker senses something is amiss as he hears unfamiliar voices talking about Deputy Roberts. Puzzled, he questions Shirley about who Deputy Roberts is, realizing that they have inadvertently tapped into conversations from another silo. The revelation leaves them both stunned. Chapter 58, Silo 17. Juliet toils away in the suit lab, mindful of conserving the unknown source of power in Silo 17. She contemplates Walker's obsession with his work and wonders if her own immersion in the lab is leading her down the same path. Despite the eerie presence of hanging cleaning suits, Juliet feels a strange comfort in the suit lab. She begins working on an air compressor but is interrupted by Solo's arrival with freshly baked bread. Solo's culinary experiments with flatbread have become a regular occurrence. Determined to broaden his culinary skills, Juliet plans to teach him more recipes. Returning to her work, Juliet reveals to Solo her plan to create a way to breathe underwater. She intends to utilize the airtight cleaning suits, connecting them to a constant supply of air from IT with this setup. She can work in the submerged sump basins and expedite the silo's drying process. Amused and slightly bewildered, Solo questions if the submerged pumps will still work. Juliet reassures him that they should, having been designed for submersion. She instructs Solo on operating the air compressor and assigns him the task of monitoring it while she works below. She also plans to install a portable deputy radio in her suit helmet for communication. Chapter 59, Silo 18. In the depths of Silo 18, Lucas finds himself in a state of despair and monotony. No longer occupied with his usual routine, he spends his days reading books and pondering the vastness of the world outside. The weeks feel like months, and he can't keep track of time or personal hygiene. Lucas yearns for change, for something more than the solitary confinement he has been subjected to. One day, as Lucas leans against the library shelves, he smells a foul odor and realizes it's coming from him. His routine has become so disrupted that he hardly remembers the last time he showered. It's as if he's teetering on the edge of an abyss, with a terrifying truth just beyond his grasp. Suddenly, Lucas is brought back to reality by the throbbing red lights, indicating someone is at the server door. It's Peter Billings, the sheriff of Silo 18. Lucas is always on guard around Peter, sensing an underlying tension and competitiveness between them. Peter inquires about Lucas' activities in the server room, suspecting there's more to his actions than meets the eye. Feeling trapped, Lucas reluctantly agrees to have dinner with Peter in the server room. They engage in small talk, but Lucas is always wary, knowing Peter's position of authority. Peter mentions an upcoming assault on the Mechanical's wall, revealing that they plan to destroy it and put an end to the rebellion. Lucas can't help but feel conflicted, knowing the suffering he experienced during his time in Mechanical. After the dinner ends, Juliet, Lucas' love interest, calls him through the headphones. Lucas is relieved to hear her voice, even though it puts him at risk of being discovered. Juliet pokes fun at Peter and expresses her desire to speak to him again. Lucas, however, grows increasingly paranoid about being caught and tries to steer the conversation away from dangerous topics. Their conversation takes a dark turn when Juliet mentions killing Peter. Lucas vehemently denies having any interest in violence, feeling overwhelmed with the weight of the secrets he carries. But Juliet presses on, reminding Lucas of the importance of choosing the right path and taking action in the face of adversity. Feeling frustrated, Lucas ends the call, unable to handle the mounting pressure and conflicting loyalties. He contemplates his actions and the person he has become, haunted by the memories of the woman he killed in Mechanical. Lucas is filled with remorse, realizing that he is not like the others and that his true allegiance lies elsewhere. With a heavy heart, Lucas curls up against the server, wrestling with his emotions and the realization of who he truly is. The image of the woman he killed haunts his thoughts as he questions the choices he has made and wonders if redemption is possible. Chapter 60, Silo 18. In the depths of Silo 18, concealed from the world above, words crackle through the airwaves, exposing the existence of other silos, unknown and hidden like their own. As Walker obsesses over the mechanics of the device, Shirley's mind teeters on the edge of panic. Questions cascade through their thoughts like a deluge, the truth just beyond reach. The revelation of silos beyond their own walls sends shockwaves through their souls, but Walker's fascination surpasses the fear that grips them. Lost in the mysteries, he avidly tunes the dial, searching for stronger signals and connections. The implications are staggering. Could there be more silos, countless others shrouded in secrecy? A sudden explosion violently shatters their fascination, shaking the very foundations of their sanctuary. Walker falls, disoriented, amid the rain of dust and debris, his precious magnifiers splintered. In the haze of confusion and pain, he pleads for help from Scotty, his faithful companion. Moments later, strong hands haul him to his feet. Reality crashes down upon them. An invading force breaches their walls, gunfire echoes through the corridors, and chaos reigns supreme. With urgency coursing through their veins, they scramble to gather their belongings before fleeing. Walker's repair of the radio feels both triumphant and futile in the face of imminent danger. Harper and Jenkins rally the others, shouting orders, while Shirley remains determined to salvage the precious radio components. The world around them spirals into madness, but amidst the chaos, Walker whispers a single word of guidance: the antenna. Shirley leaps onto the workbench, snatches the wires and metal rods, securing their only hope for communication. Walker's mind races as he contemplates what to save from this crumbling sanctuary. With their belongings hastily assembled, Walker and Shirley are thrust into a world they never anticipated facing. Chapter 61, Silo 17. In the murky depths of Silo 17, Juliet prepares for a perilous descent, weighed down by equal parts fear and determination. The act of donning the cleaning suit sends waves of panic through her, contrasting her expectations of a mere water submersion. The suffocating dread builds within her as Solo zips up the suit, sealing her fate. They exchange tools, and the weight of her knife brings a comforting reassurance. Before donning the helmet, Juliet requests to secure the rope first. Solo obediently follows her instructions, lowering the rope into the water, mindful of potential entanglements. As her mind spirals with trepidation, she fights to push aside memories of her walks outside and the uncertain dangers that lurk there. The anticipation of inching toward madness drives her forward. Intent on diverting her thoughts, Juliet examines her tools. She checks the array of drivers, tying each one with string for easy access. She takes stock of the spanner, cutters, and other essentials, compartmentalizing her focus. The coils of tubing and electrical wire lie neatly arranged, ensuring they won't tangle during her descent. Piece by piece, the helmet is fastened, the air hose connected, and the radio activated. The hiss of air fills her ears as she hides her vulnerability beneath the helmet. A surge of confidence washes over her as Solo playfully adjusts the volume on his radio, enabling communication with her submerged form. With a thumbs-up sign, Juliet affirms her readiness to proceed. With Solo's smile radiating through her helmet, she feels a surge of confidence. She stands at the water's edge, boots breaking the surface without the anticipated cold shock. The suit proves its insulation, granting her a semblance of comfort. Dimly aware of the humid mist forming inside her helmet, she activates the radio and instructs Solo to test the power switch. Breathless, she confirms her safety to Solo, her movements constrained by the restrictive suit. Held prisoner by the weights on her shins, she clings to the rope, her descent into the watery abyss commencing. Chapter 62, Silo 18. Lucas finds himself seated at a delicate wooden desk, surrounded by shelves filled with tantalizing books. The chair beneath him is a symbol of luxury, but he treads carefully, fearing its fragile state. Lucas pretends to read the order, a book filled with rigid instructions, while his eyes long for the more intriguing volumes encased within tin boxes. As Lucas peruses the order, he wonders if Bernard, the head of IT, is observing him. From his perch in the small study, Lucas steals glances at Bernard, who jumps between tinkering with the computer and relaying instructions to the security forces. Lucas, growing restless, decides to divert his attention to academic references at the back of the order, discovering chapters on group persuasion, mind control, and the impacts of fear. However, these revelations only fuel his disquiet. Unable to contain his curiosity any longer, Lucas interrupts the silence, seeking answers about the history of the silo and its creators. Bernard, however, dismisses Lucas' yearning for knowledge and emphasizes the importance of understanding the Order before delving into the other books. Yet, Lucas persists, questioning the absence of information about the silo's origins and the people responsible for its existence. Bernard finally turns to face Lucas, emphasizing the practicality of studying the Order to maintain the silo's cohesion. Lucas, undeterred, argues that the other books are useless if no one lives to read them. Engaged in a silent battle of wills, Lucas insists that knowing how the world ended and the events leading to their confinement matters to him. Bernard, initially hesitant, concedes to Lucas' persistence and reveals that the information Lucas seeks is stored elsewhere. Bernard challenges Lucas, questioning the significance of the past and its connection to their legacy. Lucas reflects on Juliet's guidance. The past holds their mistakes and unavoidable tragedies, while their legacy is created through hope, accomplishments, and the potential for a better future. Lucas understands that they cannot change the past, but they can shape what lies ahead. Impressed, Bernard commends Lucas for his insight and confirms that Lucas is nearly ready to learn the truth. Lucas realizes that the Order is the roadmap to navigate the obstacles between the past and the future's hope, to fix and prevent the mistakes of the past. Bernard, wearing a smile of approval, assures Lucas that his time to uncover the truth is approaching soon. As Bernard returns to his computer and reaches for his mouse, Lucas is left with a burning curiosity. Eager to uncover the secrets hidden within the silo's history and contribute to shaping a brighter future.